In this video, we'll take a closer look at Shopify and WooCommerce and figure out which one is best for your online store. Let's go. Hey, welcome to a new Tuts Plus tutorial. If you're just meeting, my name is Adi Purdila. I'm a web designer, and my goal with these videos is to help you become a better web designer and developer. Now, let's say that you want to build an online store. Obviously, you're not going to code it from scratch. So the question is, which platform should you choose? And there are a lot of them available. We have BigCommerce, WooCommerce, Shopify, Wix, Magento, Squarespace, PrestaShop, just to name a few. And while these are all very capable of creating a successful online store, two of them stand out. That's Shopify and WooCommerce, and these represent the topic of today's debate. Which one of these two is better suited for your business, and which one should you use to create your online store? As I said, they are both good, and they both offer pretty much all you would expect from an e-commerce platform. Great-looking themes, support for different payment gateways, add-ons, product variations, and so on. So, which one is best? Well, in this video, I'm not going to give you an overall winner because the best platform for me might not be the best one for you. Instead, what I'll do is show you the pros and cons for both of these and let you decide which one is better suited for your business. Now, in order to cover all the bases, I'll compare these platforms based on the following criteria: ease of use, themes and plugins, sales and marketing features, SEO, security, support, and pricing. Sounds good? Let's go. But since we're on the topic of online store, I want to tell you about a really cool place you can get store themes, and that is Envato Elements. With one subscription, you'll have unlimited access to Shopify themes, WooCommerce, themes and plugins, web and email templates, and more. There are millions of digital assets to choose from. They have simple commercial licensing, and you can cancel anytime. Subscribe now using the link in the video description. The first criteria we'll use for comparison is ease of use, and we'll start with Shopify because I have the feeling that most people will go for it. The main reason for that is the Shopify allows you to very quickly create a functioning online store without having to write a single line of code or be bothered with technical details. And this is the fastest way to get your store up and running, especially for people with limited technical know-how. Shopify is a self-hosted service, which means it will take care of technical aspects like domain, hosting, security, or backups. Because of that, apart from add-ons, you don't have to install or manage any software. Everything is done automatically for you. This means that your store can be ready in just a few minutes. The Shopify admin interface has a very friendly design and a great setup wizard to help you create your store, so it's very beginner-friendly. The interface is very intuitive and easy to use. You have quick access to orders, products, analytics, as well as options for the storefront, themes, blog posts, navigation, and so on. It's also very simple to customize the content of your online store by adding, editing, or removing elements. Now, WooCommerce, on the other hand, is a lot more technical, so it's harder to learn than Shopify. That's because WooCommerce is basically a plugin for WordPress, and because it's more technical, it's better suited for developers. As for simplicity, it's very simple to get started with WooCommerce. All you have to do is install the free plugin and then, optionally, follow the 5-step setup wizard to create and configure your store. The interface is also easy to use, but can be confusing at times because Unlike Shopify, WordPress is primarily a content management system that offers e-commerce functionality via plugins. So the whole interface revolves around the CMS part and not e-commerce. So using the criteria of ease of use, I would conclude that Shopify is the winner here because it's more beginner-friendly than WooCommerce. On the flip side, if you're a WordPress developer, then you would be more comfortable using WooCommerce because it's right up your alley. So, it really depends on your expertise. And that's why you should take everything I say in this video with a grain of salt and draw your own conclusions. The second criteria we'll use for the comparison is themes and plugins. And I believe the clear winner here is WooCommerce. The reason for that is simple. WooCommerce is open source. It's made for WordPress, and WordPress, besides being super popular, has a huge community behind it, and people are releasing new themes and plugins for WooCommerce very frequently. There are lots of places where you can get themes and plugins, both free and paid, but I recommend you check out Envato Elements, Theme Forest, or Code Canyon because there are hundreds of items to choose from. And if you have an active Elements subscription, you have unlimited downloads for these. Now, just because WooCommerce comes out on top, it doesn't mean Shopify lacks themes or plugins. There is a Shopify theme store where you can download free or paid themes. And you can also find these on Envato Elements and Theme Forest. And as far as plugins go, Shopify has its own store for these, and they call them apps. It's very easy to find the one you need, and you can also choose apps based on user reviews, which is very cool. Now, some people say that the themes from the Shopify store are much better made. I don't think that's necessarily true. I've seen a lot of WooCommerce themes that look amazing and they're really well built. So I think you'll find quality on both platforms. But just in terms of the sheer number of items available, in terms of themes and plugins, I believe that WooCommerce takes the lead. Now, let's move on to the third criteria, and that is sales and marketing features. And to determine which one is best for you, you first need to determine where you'll be selling your products, because there are some differences between the platforms in that regard. Both Shopify and WooCommerce allow you to sell on Facebook, Instagram, Walmart, Amazon, and eBay. The difference is this integration is free with Shopify. For WooCommerce, you need to buy some plugins. Another crucial feature for any e-commerce website is abandoned cart recovery. Now, this is actually a major issue that's been bugging online retailers for a very long time and also making them lose millions of dollars. Well, Shopify has you covered with a built-in feature for abandoned checkouts. You can see these in the admin area, and you can automatically email customers a link to their abandoned cart, asking them if they want to complete the purchase. You can also manage abandoned carts in WooCommerce, but you need to install a plugin for that. It's not native functionality. In terms of other features, both platforms allow you to offer free shipping and sell internationally. They both support payment gateways like PayPal or Stripe, and they both allow you to calculate tax rates. Oh, and you can also sell digital products on both platforms. In terms of product options, both platforms offer access to user reviews, discounts, and product variations. One thing to mention about product variations is that Shopify only lets you choose between size, color, material, and style. while WooCommerce lets you define whatever variation names you want. In terms of marketing, both platforms allow you to run email campaigns via apps and plugins, so it's really easy to send personalized emails to your customers. Now, before we move on to the next criteria, there is one last thing I'd like to talk about here, and that is transaction fees. Here's the thing. Shopify charges 2% per transaction if you use a third-party payment gateway. This can be reduced by using a more advanced pricing plan, more about that later, or eliminate the charge by using the company's own gateway called Shopify Payments. WooCommerce, on the other hand, doesn't charge any transaction fees for using a third-party payment gateway. So if that's a very important aspect for you, then I believe WooCommerce would be the obvious pick. So to sum up this part about sales and marketing features, I think it's really a tie between the two. Both platforms have their pros and cons, so it's really up to you to decide which one is better suited for your business. Let's move on to criteria number 4, and that is SEO. That stands for Search Engine Optimization, and this is basically a process through which you write your website content in such a way that it makes it rank higher in a search engine. And I believe for this one, WooCommerce comes out on top, but not by a huge margin. And here's why. WooCommerce is a WordPress plugin, and since WordPress is a content management system, it's very easy to add meta information to the content, and it's also super easy to organize the content in categories and archives. Not to mention the wide range of SEO plugins available for WordPress, like Yoast. At the end of the day, WordPress in general is well known for its SEO capabilities. With Shopify, you can also define alt tags for images, optimize them for loading time, add titles, product descriptions, and meta tags. But in terms of apps, Shopify has fewer available that can boost the ranking score, and they're not as feature-packed as the ones for WordPress. On the other hand, because Shopify is self-hosted, so it runs off of its own servers, its own dedicated servers, one could argue that loading times and overall performance are better on Shopify than WordPress. That might be true, but probably by a small margin. So, in my opinion, WooCommerce takes the lead for this one simply because it's based on WordPress. Let's talk about criteria number 5, and that is security. This is a major aspect to consider on any website, but even more so on an e-commerce website because of the sensitive information being delivered by your customers. Information like, personal info or credit card data. In these cases, security is achieved by using an SSL certificate. This is also called a TSL certificate, and it basically encrypts the communication between the store and the visitors. So if this communication is somehow breached, the data inside is still safe. You can easily check if a connection is secure by looking at the browser's address bar. If you see this padlock icon, then it's secure. You can also check the address and make sure it's using HTTPS instead of HTTP as the protocol. HTTPS is secure. Shopify comes by default with these SSL certificates, and they are automatically installed for you. WooCommerce, on the other hand, doesn't, so you need to get them manually. And that might be somewhat problematic for someone that doesn't know how to do that. When talking security, you must also be aware of the PCI DSS compliance. This stands for Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard, and is basically a set of rules defined by the Payment Card Industry Security Standards Council for the purpose of reducing credit card fraud. By default, Shopify is PCI DSS compliant, so you don't have to worry about a thing. WooCommerce, on the other hand, isn't compliant by default, but you can make it so. And even though it's not hard, it's just an extra step you need to do. And because of that, based on this criteria, I would say that Shopify takes the lead simply because of how easy it is to have a secure website from day one. Let's move on to criteria number 6, and that is support. Things are very simple here. Shopify has a dedicated support team that's available 24/7 via chat, email, and phone. WooCommerce doesn't. Support for WooCommerce mainly comes from the huge community of users and developer behind it, which is also great. With that said, both platforms have extensive documentation, guides, and forums you can visit to learn how to use the platform in question or fix any potential problems. To conclude, I think Shopify has the edge here simply because of the dedicated support team that's available 24/7. But that's to be expected, really, because of the nature of the platforms. It would be super complicated to offer this kind of support on WooCommerce, considering that WooCommerce is open source and it's also based on WordPress. And finally, let's talk about pricing. And I saved this for last because I didn't want price to be the deciding factor for choosing one of these platforms, even though price is very important. Now, at the basic level, WooCommerce is free to use, while Shopify has a set pricing. It starts at $29 per month and goes to $299 per month on the advanced plan. There is also a Shopify Lite plan at just $9 per month, but that has less features than the basic plan. So if you need more advanced features in Shopify, you need to upgrade and pay more. On top of that, you must also consider the price of apps, which for some of them can be pretty steep. The premium Shopify themes are also pretty expensive, with some going as high as $280. With that said, I think that Shopify actually does a lot of things for you. Okay, so all the technical details they take care of, all the security they take care of for you. So I think the price is actually pretty justified. Now, I said that WooCommerce is free to use, but that doesn't mean the platform is actually the cheapest option of the two. And that's because there are costs that you might not think about until you actually start using it. Costs like hosting, domain, SSL certificates, paid plugins, and so on. So WooCommerce is free to download and use, sure, but it does come with extra costs. And the total amount you end up paying when using WooCommerce will really depend on what kind of plugins you have installed, what theme you got, what kind of hosting you got, and so on. There are a lot of variables in this equation, so we can't really give a straight answer as to how much you're going to pay using WooCommerce. It really depends on how you want to use your store. And because of that, I don't think there is a clear winner based on this criteria. So then, based on what we've talked about so far, let's do a final list of pros and cons for each platform, and hopefully this will help you make a better decision moving forward. Let's start with the Shopify pros. Free hosting. Your store can be up and running very fast. You just need to sign up, add products, and you're good to go. Better security. Shopify comes with SSL certificates by default, and all the security is handled by the platform. It's easy to use. Shopify has a clean interface, very modern and easy to use, especially for beginners. 24/7 support. Shopify has a dedicated support team that's available 24/7 via chat, phone, or email. WooCommerce relies on support from the community of users and developers. Multi-channel integration. Selling on other channels like Facebook, Amazon, or eBay is built in and free of charge. Now let's take a look at the cons for Shopify. Limited product variations. Shopify only lets you set 4 variation types: size, color, material, and style. WooCommerce, on the other hand, offers completely custom variations. Transaction fees. Unless you're using Shopify payments, you'll pay up to 2% per transaction. Expensive themes and apps. Most paid themes are actually pretty expensive, and the same goes for the apps. The more you need, the more you'll pay. Now let's move on to WooCommerce Pros. It's free to start. There is no extra cost if you need basic store functionality and you're already using WordPress. Infinitely customizable. Because WooCommerce is based on WordPress, so it's open source, you can customize it to your liking. Plus, there are hundreds of high-quality themes available. Easy to scale. Because of the available themes and plugins and the nature of WordPress, you can scale your WooCommerce website to any level you want. Lower-priced themes and plugins. Most themes and plugins are very reasonably priced, so you'll get great value for your money. Great SEO from the start. WordPress is well known for its SEO capabilities, and that lends itself nicely to your online store. Now for WooCommerce cons. Not beginner-friendly. Getting an online store up and running with WooCommerce can be very difficult without some technical know-how. You could hire a developer, but that would incur additional costs. Lack of abandoned cart recovery and PCI DSS compliance. These are very important features for an online store, and WooCommerce doesn't support these by default. However, they can be added later on. And that's about it for this tutorial. Hopefully you now have all the information you need to start your e-commerce website and to pick the right platform for you. And I'm actually very curious, if you already have an e-commerce website, what platform do you use? Let us know down in the comments. With that said, thank you very much for watching, and until next time, take care.